Morning, guys. Um, Got to wear glasses in here, man. It's not bright enough in my house. Not like the classroom. I got a helper, an assistant. You can hear my assistant down here. Huh? Right? Right? Okay, so I think I'm gonna do something a little different today. That might have been kind of a pain for you guys to do. So I'm gonna kind of review these questions, kind of like I do um, in class, and then I'll ask you the questions after that. That maybe will make it easier. So I'm going to do a brief here. So we talked about the NEC covers. I'm just going to go over these real quick. So the first one, chemical burns, was not life-threatening. I mean, it could be life-threatening, but typically it's not. If a person's heart begins to fibrillate, yeah, you got to have a defibrillator. Someone has to come in and use an AED to do it. Low voltage conductors. Um, they are responsible for the most deaths. 120 volts are the most deaths in the United States. I meant to tell you guys yesterday that one of the guys that took the adult class, he got his OSHA safety, and what did he do? He went and got up on a ladder, and he got up on the top, fell off the ladder, broke his leg. His name is John. He just called me the other day, broke his leg at work. He's like 60 years old. So no matter how much safety you learn, if you're not careful, you're going to get hurt. Safety doesn't protect you; you protect you. Safety just gives you um, the knowledge to protect yourself. So Class O rubber gloves, they're good for 1,000 volts or less. Important use of a hot stick is to um, replace fuses. I'm not sure who put that in there, but it's to replace the fuses. And lockout tagout procedure. Anyone can install a lock on there. Any authorized employee. And of course, the last person working on that unit is the one who has to take the lock off. And the NEC covers all safety minimum standards in the United States. So, minimum installation requirements for electrical equipment, I should say. Okay, so scaffolding. So I got 7 more questions, and then you guys will be done with this chapter. We'll move on. So scaffolding. When you put the planks on scaffolding, you have to have a minimum overlap of the plank. There's a minimum distance that the plank can go over the scaffold on the end, and there's a maximum distance. So the minimum distance would be 6 inches. The maximum distance would be 12 inches. So the plank going over the end of the scaffold where it ends, 6 inches minimum. It has to expand over 12 inches maximum. What happens to a permits when you enter a confined space? You have to get a permit for a confined space entry. And what happens after you enter that confined space? They are recorded in a job journal and saved for 1 year. All permits are recorded in a job journal and saved for 1 year. What's the best way to protect yourself from solvent hazards? Read and follow the instructions on the SDS or MSDS. So manufacturer instructions is the best method of and if there is no manufacturer's instructions, you need to look it up and find out if it's some kind of dangerous solvent. You should wear some kind of chemical mask and so on. If you guys are working with asbestos, anything prior to 1980, you should assume that there's asbestos in. It doesn't mean there is. Asbestos, I think, was stopped being put into products into building in 1972. So just to be safe, as far as the book goes, assume that anything below 1980 has asbestos. Which of the following applies to vapor lamps? Vapor lamps have to be disposed. The materials are regulated by the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, so their disposal is regulated. So you have to dispose them properly. And a PFAS is a personal fall arrest system. anchorage point for a 6-foot lanyard must be able to hold how many pounds? 5,000. 5,000 pounds. So we covered all these review questions, okay? So now I'm going to ask you the review questions. So review question number 9. What is the proper distance? Oh, I didn't cover this one. Oh, that's a bummer. So, but you should know this. The proper distance from a ladder to be out from the wall. What was it per height? So much out per so much up, okay? So, was it 1/4, 1/2 equal to the distance going up, or 1/4 the square root of the height? So 1/4 would be 1 foot out, 4 feet up. 1/2 would be 1 foot out, 2 feet up. The distance equal to the rung and the height, or the rung. So those are your 4 choices. What is the minimum and maximum distance? Question number 10. What is the minimum maximum distance that the scaffold plank can extend beyond the support? 4 and 8, 6 and 10, 6 and 12, or 8 and 12? That's 4 and 8, 6 and 10, 6 and 12, or 8 and 12. Question number 11. What happens to the permits used to enter the confined space? They are reviewed at the end of each shift and discarded upon completion. They are recorded in the job journal at the end of each shift and retained for a year. They are recorded in the job journal at the end of the shift and submitted to OSHA. They are reviewed at the end of each shift and returned for 3 months and retained for 3 months. They're reviewed at the end of each shift and discarded on the completion of the job. They are recorded for the job journal at the end of each shift and retained for a year. They recorded the job journal at the end of each shift and submitted to OSHA. They are reviewed at the end of each shift and retained for 3 months. All right, number 12. What's the best way to protect yourself from solvent hazards is to do what? Always wear vinyl gloves and paper filter mask. Ask a coworker for instructions. Ask a supplier. Or read and follow all instructions on the products SDS or MSDS. Is it safe to assume that asbestos may be found in any facility constructed before what date? So when before did I say it was safe to assume? 1980, 1985, 1990, 1995. Hold on, we have somebody in the audience that's confused. What's the confusion? No, I didn't. Oh, no, we discussed the questions prior to me asking the questions now. I'm doing a new format, making it easier. All right, we solved the confusion. It was one of Trump's people. Which of the following applies to vapor lamps? What do we have to do with the vapor lamps when we're done? Throw vapor lamps out in the regular trash as long as you wrap them up. Disposal of these materials is regulated by the Environmental Protection Agency. You may dispose of up to 6 vapor lamps a year in the trash. These lamps do not contain harmful materials. And last question, number 15. A PFAS, which is a personal fall rest system, anchorage point for a 6-foot lanyard must be able to hold how many pounds? 250, 500, 1,000, or 5,000 pounds. All right, guys. Again, I hope everybody's doing good. It's not looking good that we're going to get back to school this year. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of sad. I wanted to finish up, but we'll keep going the best we can, and we'll go from there. And like I said, it's under 10 minutes. We should never be over 10 minutes for any of these little videos. All right, guys. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.